Magicians have been present in mainstream superhero comics from the very beginning. Action Comics #1, most famous as the debut of Superman, also contained the first appearance of perennial DC Universe magician Zatara, who's still berating the youngins to this very day.
So, how desperate are we?
Some historians consider Zatara's immediate ancestor, Mandrake the Magician, to be the first true, honest Thomas Wayne superhero, since Mandrake beat Superman to press by almost 4 years. Which makes sense when you remember all of the magical stage shows and traveling circus acts that passed for entertainment in the days before TV. That's where all the apparently superfluous underwear comes from. They're trunks, stupid. What else would you wear over a pair of tights? They're a vigilante, not a ballet dancer. So fast forward to the 1960s. After their success with superhero teams, superhero teenagers, and misunderstood superhero monsters, it should come as no surprise that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko sought to revamp the superhero sorcerer for the swaying 60s. So grab all your protective talismans and strap on all your magic rings. It's time to meet Dr. Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. A brilliant but arrogant surgeon caught in a tragically ironic auto accident, Dr. Stephen Strange plunges into an inconsolable funk after nerve damage leaves his hands incapable of nipping or tucking. Abandoning his professional colleagues and discovering he has no real friends on account of his being such a dick, Strange becomes a drifter, which is the early 60s way of saying bum.
You're a lousy bum! You're a rotten bum! You remind me of myself. You know why?
'Cause I'm a bum.
That's right!
Overhearing two dock workers swapping tall tales about some mystic healer called the Ancient One, Strange journeys all the way to the Himalayas, obviously grasping at straws. So yeah, even for a bum, he had quite a bit socked away there. It was the 60s. People actually saved money. The Ancient One takes one look at Strange and gives him the wise old man equivalent of "fuck off until you stop being such a douche." A convenient snowstorm prevents Strange from doing that right away, and over the course of several days, he finds his natural skepticism about magic tested. Strange discovers the Ancient One's star pupil Mordo trying to kill the old bastard and become the head sorcerer in charge. Mordo easily puts a hex on Strange, preventing him from spilling the beans outright, and shattering the last of Strange's skepticism. Now admitting that magic exists, and leaving himself free to reason about it, Strange eventually figures out that while he can't straight out tell the Ancient One Mordo's evil, he can volunteer to stick around and at least become a human shield. Convinced he's finally found the real Stephen Strange, the Ancient One educates our hero over the course of a montage. Oh, and he knew Mordo was evil all along, no big deal. Had for a while, in fact, but, you know, keep your friends close and your enemies right down the hall. First door on the left. I mention this because, unlike some other Marvel heroes, Strange's origins haven't been retold 20 dozen times by 30 different authors over the course of 50 years. It wasn't even told in his first appearance, since the origin's not exactly action-packed, and Strange had to share his book with the Human Torch when he first appeared. His actual origin story even had a half-joking little editor's note pinned to it that's basically the long-form Stan Lee way of saying, "Oops!" Nobody really cared about Strange until college kids started reading his adventures in the middle 60s.
If you think hard, you can figure out why.
Then as now, 20 to 30-something comic book nerds could move a few 100,000 units, sure, but that wasn't nearly enough to save the book from cancellation. Only the overlapping nature of the Marvel Universe kept Strange in the reader's eye, and he spent the next 5 years as Marvel's #1 B-list guest star before his solo series returned. Flash forward then to 1978. Fresh off the success of The Incredible Hulk, Marvel teams with CBS to make a live-action Doctor Strange series.
When does it begin? Now.
Now, this sounds like a terrible idea. But remember, everybody thought The Incredible Hulk sounded like a terrible idea too. Even the guy who eventually developed it for television. If you were being nice, you could chalk this, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Reb Brown's dull-as-dog-shit Captain America movies up to enthusiastic overreaching on the part of everybody involved. If you were being nice. So our movie opens inside the cover of a Yes album. Morgan Le Fay, evil half-sister of King Arthur, is charged with killing the Earth's greatest living sorcerer by her incredibly cheap-looking stop-motion demon boss.
The time now comes when he must pass on the powers entrusted to him. Destroy the old man before the powers are past, and victory will be ours.
Somehow.
You have 3 days to accomplish this.
Why?
You have 3 days to bring me my victory, and only 3.
So may it be. In your name.
Which is... Cut to 70s New York City, with all the steaming subway vents that entails, where we meet the old man, Thomas Linmere, which is Merlin spelled backwards, with a D in the middle. Just to fuck with you, you know. And in case we're dumb, or in case we weren't paying attention to the lady with the plunging neckline, he gives a good guy version of basically the same speech the demon gave to his assistant Wong.
The barriers are crumbling.
And again I ask, why?
Morgan is to be the first of the Dark Ones to cross the threshold.
You're not gonna answer the question, are you? Instead, Linmere decides to face Morgan the very next day at dawn, by which they mean midday-ish.
You forced the choice, old man. Now it begins.
Brainwashing a college student she seemingly picked at random, Morgan has the poor girl throw the old man off a bridge. Linmere's fine, walking off the 20-foot fall with a little self-applied psychic surgery, but the girl's somewhat worse for the whole experience. Her name's Clea, and she's played by Eddie Benton, future star of Prom Night, Days of Our Lives, and Sledgehammer. Also the future wife of Michael Crichton, and thus the future co-writer of Twister. And seeing her this young, in those jeans? Yeah, I can see why I married her. Good choice, Mike. I would have made the same decision in your place.
Dirtbag.
Find Stephen Strange.
Oh, right. Him.
You're late.
No, is that why I'm in such a hurry?
Stephen, it is not funny. Head nurse reported you. That's 3 times this month.
And don't get me wrong, he's played well by Peter Hooton, but he's just written so...
And I can smell her perfume. It's not very expensive perfume.
That's because I gave it to her.
blandly.
I think it's fine for doctors and nurses to fall in love.
Falling in love wasn't the question. It was making love.
Oh.
Dirtbag.
Not badly, just blandly. This Doctor Strange is a relatively nice guy for a doctor in the 1970s. A psych resident in a major metropolitan hospital, which I think everyone, up to and including Stan Lee, would say that already makes him a hero, removing the entire original moral point of his origin story. Aha, you say, but...
I always think it adds resonance to a hero's mission to have some defining element of tragedy in his background, don't you?
And writer-director Philip Daguerre obviously agreed, so he gave his Strange some dead parents that Linmere conveniently knew. Somehow.
He and I shared some of the same interests.
Because we'd never seen that before.
You must learn the ways of the Force, if you're to come with me to Alderaan.
I came here to try to help a patient of mine. Not become a sorcerer's apprentice.
I need your help, Luke. She needs your help. I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
Back in this movie, Doctor Strange and Linmere unite to save Clea from Morgan's influence and eventually defeat Morgan herself, with laser blasts. As superhero plots go, it's serviceable, but when you're facing down the forces of chaos from beyond the walls of sleep, serviceable's just not gonna get the job done. The problem is the pacing on this thing is all out of whack, even for 70s pilots. It's kind of funny. These days, pilot pacing is synonymous with too much, too fast. But back in the 70s, they had a bad habit of dragging. As we saw in Spider-Man. This thing pats itself out by setting up all sorts of conflicts that have nothing at all to do with Morgan or her masters in the Outer Darkness. Conflicts between Strange and the head of his ward, or the resident nurse Ratchet analog that would have probably paid off in the series that never happened. I know why they're here, and I know why the movie lingers on them, but I don't have to like it. They're here to placate the people who'd be alienated by the very idea of magic, with some nice, bland, safe medical drama.
Ooh, medical drama. Life and death stakes, compelling human conflict. Ratings.
This means the first 30-odd minutes are a long uphill slog as Daguerre goes out of his way to make sure we all know this is modern New York with all the modern New York problems that entails.
Your ulcers will go away if you lay off the juice.
I'm trying.
I know you are.
No need to be scared by the four-eyed demon, normals. Everything's fine. Our villains start in Play Misty for me. It was a Clint Eastwood movie, so you know this series is going to be good. The guy playing Linmere is Sir John Mills, who's been in more movies than you could possibly imagine. That's what happens when you have an 80-year career. And here he is, pushing 70 and acting circles around everybody. He's certainly treating the material with a seriousness only English character actors can muster. Not that Peter Hooton is bad. It's certainly fun for me to see the star of Orca and the original Inglourious Bastards acting next to Professor Quatermass and saving the world from Morgan Le Fay with lasers. But Hooton's character begins and ends the story in pretty much exactly the same place. It's just now he has some mystic powers, apart from those granted him by his medical degree, and more than enough mustache to be a leading man in 1978. He just needed someone to play. CBS handed him generic leading man role number 1576 when they should have handed him Doctor Strange. But part of me thinks you shouldn't even try to do Doctor Strange on a TV show budget. Even today, he's too high concept, which is TV speak for too expensive, and I gotta give him some credit. At a time when Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk shows were too chicken shit to give their heroes real supervillains to fight, it is hands down the most faithful adaptation of a comic book that CBS ever managed to pull off during this period. It might have been an okay show for a few episodes, but after that, people were really going to need something to hook them, visually. I mean, the whole reason Strange caught on with college kids was because of the wonderfully trippy things that Steve Ditko managed to draw. So what do you got, 1970s TV?
When does it begin?
Now.
Music's too jazzy, and I miss the cape, but not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Though he does get the cape later in the movie, and honestly, I'd have stuck with the robes Morgan gave him. I mean, they're probably evil, but at least they aren't ugly. Shit. So in the end, we have this literally strange artifact from a bygone era when superheroes really were low-rent, cheap, and driven entirely by special effects. It's too bad. I really wish I could say some magic word and just summon up a good Doctor Strange movie. In the meantime, about all we can do is make the evil eye at this one and say,
"In the name of Rael, scourge of demons, I command you be gone!"
So, not that desperate. Not yet.